I'm Oliver Trevina in studio with the Hollywood Reporter, joined by my good friend, Wilmer Valderrama. How are you, mate?
Very good, very good. Thanks for having me, brother.
Well, it's a pleasure. You're a busy man. You don't stop. Literally, every time I see you, there's something else going on in your world.
Yeah, I stay busy. I stay busy.
You do stay very busy.
I stay busy. You know, if you wake up in the morning, you might as well do something, right?
You might as well do something. That's good. I mean, it's good to have something to do.
Mm-hmm.
You just have many things to do. You do.
Yeah.
You do. And one of them, actually, I remember sitting with you eating sushi and you telling me about, I'm going to go on NCIS.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, it was a big move. You know, I had just finished doing a couple of things. You know, I had a lot of fun playing multiple characters at the same time. So I was doing Minority Report and From Dusk Till Dawn, and then I went to Grey's Anatomy, and I had like this 3 different characters that I was playing at the same time, and then I had worked with CBS on this pilot, and the pilot didn't move forward, but I established a really great relationship with the studio and the network, and there was an opportunity to kind of, put it in gear with NCIS, and they wanted to make some bold moves, and during a time where I think diversity was important as a conversation, and still is. They made a move to put a little coffee in their milk, NCIS.
It's exactly what they did. What they did. And now season 15 currently.
Yeah, this is my second year.
I don't say that much when I interview people. Season 15. I think this is actually the first time I've ever said it.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, man. I mean, they've carved out a place for them in pop culture that's been, almost 2 decades now, and to see what they've done in formula and in science, and the fact that it's actually stuck with the audience, it's kind of crazy, to think about that. And, a big tribute to Mark Harmon and the team and everybody out there that has made such a home in people's hearts, right? But this was really interesting. It was actually very tricky for me because when they came with this opportunity and they talked to my team about that, I thought to myself, like, well, after 13 years, they're still showing up, they're still having fun, the writers are still swinging, and I had a lot of these concerns. And also, I showed that it's #1 in the world, and it's bringing in 20 million people a week,
It's a pretty high bar. The bar's already there, yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's already there. So what can you contribute?
Right,
I think that my biggest concern was, what can I contribute to this ongoing train? Can I come in there and make a real splash? Can I play something that they've never seen? But I was very empowered by the writers and the showrunners, and their idea was to develop a character that can hopefully expand NCIS to a different, expand the universe of NCIS a little bit. And they found a section. Of NCIS, which was an undercover world, and we developed a character that was very dark, multi-layered, and fun, and funny, and grumpy, and it was fun. It was a really cool character, and as it kind of ironed out, I felt like it was something really fun that I could show up to do to work. I mean, you do 24 episodes a season, you better like the character you're playing. You know.
Well, people describe Nicholas as charismatic and unpredictable, which I would probably describe you the same way. So
it's not much of a stretch,
into the shoes. Yeah,
I just wanted to wake up in the morning and not have to try too hard, No, but it's a flattering description, I think, But the point of the character was to be unpredictable and to not really play so much by the rules and be a little more dynamic in the show. Just kind of put it in gear, bring a different energy.
Yeah. And the action stuff is great. I love seeing you doing that. That's amazing.
Dude, I got so addicted to doing that. You do a series with Robert Rodriguez, and you're covered in blood and gunpowder, and then you go to something else, or you're super clean, and you're like, what's happening? Why do I smell nice? Why am I not sweaty? Why is it not 6 a.m? And we're still shooting since 5 p.m. last night. And you go to this thing, and you start craving, kind of like, okay, what are we gonna do next? But they were very open to the idea of like having Nick Torres, my character, knock the guy out first and then arrest him.
Right. Which is always more fun.
In that order, in that order. Like, break the door open and then knock.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was more, that to me made it really, really, really fun.
I love that. And you mentioned obviously the cast, like people like Mark and Paulie and stuff, but they're always adding to it. I mean, Maria Bello and, the constantly changing cast. How is that on a show like that? Like being a staple now, I guess, a couple of seasons in, when people come in and out. If you could have any actor come in for a guest star, Who would you like to see on the show?
Oof, I literally have been going down a long.
You've been making a list already
of people that I would want to come in there, But that's a really good question. I think that there's a lot of different people that can come in and bring different dynamics to the show.
Right.
I think more directors.
Okay.
What directors can come into NCIS and then create a different aura and tone. I think that, to me, I'm more fascinated by that because, you go to one of your friends, he goes, hey, so anyway, 17 million people on Tuesday night, you want to come play? Yeah.
Right. So it's not a tough sell.
It's not a tough sell.
An easy sell.
But to me, what's exciting is to bring in different directors that can create a different energy at NCIS. Same magic, but with kind of a different...
really mix it up. Bring Robert in.
Oh my God! Imagine. that entire episode, Mark Harmon would be covered in dust and
Robert Rodriguez. It would just be like blood everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's great. I think it's a very cool thing to think about, specifically as we're going into the next couple years. We'll see what happens. The show's so successful. We'll see what happens next year. But I would like to bring directors like Joe Menendez and some. Who are just, guys who are just trying to be new and exciting and refreshing.
No, nice. Well, we'll see. We'll see what's next in store. As mentioned, you are busy. You've got this empire,
humble empire.
Hang on. We sit together and you tell me about half of the stuff that's going on, and it's pretty impressive.
Thank you, man. Thank you
WVE, Wilmer Valderrama Enterprises. Tell us what's going on there. There's Charming, which you told me about a while ago, and I loved it. Yeah, and it's really going.
Yeah, man. I some of you guys may remember that my first creation was Your Mama on MTV, right. And it started out as kind of like, hey, Brian Grandin and Louis Curran and Rod Asa, hey, so check this out. So it's the 8 Mile of Your Mama's so fat jokes, and MTV at that time was like, well, we have Jackass and Punk'd. Might as well go here too, Right. So they gave me our own show, and I produced and created it and hosted it, and the whole experience was so fun to me. And creating something from scratch was exciting. So that was the birth of my company. And then I partnered up with Disney and did Handy Manny. So I started doing animation and. The motto was that if you had a passion for it and you had a story you wanted to tell, that no matter what the medium or the platform or the format was, that we could just do it. Right. And the spirit of the company was all about just bring in all your friends and do it together, right? So we just like you, our group of friends, are extraordinary artists who are doing things on their own, and this was an excuse to bring all my friends together and kind of self-package some things and come together and figure out, if we're gonna win, let's win together sometimes, know. And so that was the virtue of the company, and now coming full circle to today. It's evolved. I've had some, I've learned so much from different overalls and first look deals that I've had, from Fremont to Media to Relativity to Lionsgate, and now being independent and being able to run full budgets and coming in and doing everything from scratch was an exciting evolution to the company. And so we're dreaming really big, and we have some pretty ambitious projects, but those ambitious projects have meant amazing partnerships in the town and a lot of support from our industry and our peers and colleagues, and specifically my artist friends who come in on board and say, all right, let's make this on a big level, and it's been great.
Well, that's the great part, is you're still doing that from how you started, bringing your friends in. You still do exactly the same. Yeah,
it's more fun when you win with your friends, right? But yeah, so we've decided, because I love the animation so much, I partnered with John Williams, who produced the Shrek franchise, and we decided to do a couple of animated features. The hardest thing you could ever do, and we decided, hey man, it may be hard to some people, and maybe. Let's try to see if there's a different way we can do it. And we found a different way, a different formula, a different science. And, Jeremy Ross, who's the CEO of our company, had a really incredible way of kind of structuring the infrastructure to deliver this type of films. And we were able to self-fund these movies and produce them with John Williams and his whole company as well. And we did the first one was Charming, which is the untold story of Prince Charming. And we decided to make Charming.
He's Prince Charming, if you didn't guess.
We decided to make Prince Charming Latin because, I feel like, certain fairy tales have taken, too long to name the first Latin something, So we went there, and I packaged it with a bunch of an incredible group of friends, from Demi Lovato to Avril Lavigne to Sia to Nia Vardalos to John Cleese, and
I was busy that day.
Yeah.
I was busy.
Well, yeah, he was playing soccer, so he couldn't make it.
So busy for me.
But anyway, so that was like our first thing, and then we did the soundtrack, and it was a really good guinea pig, you know. And then we just thought, wow, this is possible. This is really fun.
Right.
And then now we're doing another one that's announcing in the next month that it's already been in production for the last year and a half, and it's been great. So I feel good about that.
So, moving on from that, you are always, which I love about you, you're always involved in making change as well in the world, you know, like giving your voice, you've got a platform, and that's very important to you. Harness, tell us about that.
Yeah, you know, so to give you a little background, my first taste at activism was when I did Fast Food Nation. Richard Linklater and Eric Schlosser, who were my first mentors in activism, they were the ones who made me an activist, really. They were the ones who kind of showed me a whole different side of what art can do when it came to the conversation, when it came to representing people and putting certain stories in the forefront. And when Richard Linklater and him developed this movie, Fast Food Nation, we went to Cannes Film Festival and everything. And, you know, playing an undocumented worker that crossed the border and took a job at a slaughterhouse was so eye-opening to me to play a real person. You know, sometimes as actors, we tend to perform and develop characters, you know, that are a version of what we relate to in real life and make them likable and fun and loud or grounded in different realities. This was the first time with this movie felt almost like a documentary, like you were a fly on the wall and something really happening. And Catalina Sandino Moreno and Ana Claudia Talancon and I, and Bobby Cannavale and Luis Guzman, who in the section of this movie was all about the slaughterhouse and all of that. And crossing the border and all that was so eye-opening that they're the ones who kind of mentored me to get more involved in that. And they placed me in front of Congress and speak on behalf of, workers and all those hard jobs that we all assume don't exist sometimes. And that really paved the way. And then from then I went to Voto Latino and census and voting registration, which was really important for minorities to get involved. And now Harness, you know, which is something that I partner with Ryan Pierce Williams and America Ferrera. The three of us, you know, shortly after the election, we kind of got together and we said, you know, there's certain communities that are feeling vulnerable, they're feeling not safe and concerned about the possible attack to these minorities. We thought, why don't we get together with all of the road of activism and all the people that we have met, and let's get in the room with all the people that have certain strengths and see if there's weaknesses to the strengths and to the strengths, you know, and how can we meet halfway. And, you know, we met up in my home and we had 70 people show up like that. And we talked from Dolores Huertas to the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement to everybody just showed up and had a very open dialogue about the feeling and what direction we could take. And then we realized that most of the movements want the same thing. Right. We realized that most of the movements are fighting for the same thing, and it's just that our movements were segregated from one another based on the interests. We didn't know that we have more things in common until we started getting in the same room. So now we're leveraging that our organization Harness really brings all these movements together and create a comprehensive conversation and a tactical roadmap on how to be effective and how to help one another with each other's weaknesses and strengths.
Right. So come together, basically.
Yes, unity. Basically create unity and harness the energy of every movement and their wisdom and how to be more effective when it comes to defending, not only a community, but you know, the country we want to end up living in. Right.
With that being said, I mean, there's right now there's obviously big talking points and movements and things going on and changes in the world. Obviously in Hollywood, you guys have a voice off the screen, but you can also do it on the screen. You can create projects that then spread the message too. How would you say people away from Hollywood could make that change?
Away from Hollywood.
Yeah, not in our bubble. That's the big thing.
Very simple. Very simple. One of the things that we were working and exercising with Harness was, can we create workshops for showrunners and studios and networks where we can come in and bring these conversations to them and let them be inspired by the stories and let them be inspired by the heart of the story, and seeing hopefully that they can write and develop characters and storylines that create food for thought, but opens dialogue, right? So then we started thinking about how can people outside of Hollywood that have such a platform for the impression or the access to the stories. You know, we all have our own personal networks.
Right.
You know, and now more than ever, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter have become a platform for your interest, a platform for showcasing your personality. But it's also a voice, right? And we forget that with your Facebook, you may have 200, 300, sometimes 1,000 or 2,000 friends on Facebook that are listening, that you can show a piece of you. And there is a platform, a very low-hanging platform, where you can distribute content that touches your heart, distribute thoughts, speeches, conversations, people that you would want your personal friends and family to be aware of.
Right.
And it's not about preaching them how you feel or this is what, or telling you how you need to feel or what you need to stand up for. It's about really kind of just distributing all the stories to people and let them in their heart make a decision on what side of history they want to stand on. And you'll find that the majority of this country wants to be on the right side of history, and they just need to be exposed and educated on how to roll up their sleeves and get involved. Right. But they also want to be educated on the story, right? It's not about statistics and numbers and its percentages, which is I think where we go wrong in the movements. You know, in the public conversations, people think, you know, oh, this percentage of undocumented, and really what you're not doing is putting a face to it, which is what law is supposed to do, to protect the person, not a number or a statistic. So
every voice matters.
Every voice matters, absolutely.
That's it. To wrap this up, we're going to do the THR's top 5 quick questions.
Okay.
Favorite actor growing up?
Desi Arnaz.
Who I know now because of our last conversation.
That's right.
Favorite career moment so far?
Favorite career move?
Moment.
Oh, moment. Favorite career moment. Oh, I think that the moment I got that 70s show, because that helped me take my mom from the 99-cent stores to Ralph's. That to me,
that's a jump.
That to me was the biggest moment in my career, and I would never forget the moment where it's a short story.
Go for it.
But I remember when we would walk, probably about a mile or so, a mile and a half to go to the 99-cent store with my mom, and we would carry, the plastic bags, across blocks and blocks, and every couple of blocks in Sherman Way in Van Nuys, we would stop, and I think one day I noticed my mom's hands were really red from carrying the plastic bags, and I remember that was the moment where I said that everything that happened to me today was going to happen, and that there was no other choice but for it to be real. And I looked at my mom's hands and I said, Mom, don't worry, because one day we're going to drive. And then one day we drove. A big testament to the American dream. But again, when I got the 70s show, it was that moment where, like, okay, I'm not breaking that promise. I got to drive my mom now. But we're not going to 99 store. We're going to Ralph's now. We're not going to get, we're not going to get cola anymore. We're going to get something else that has a brand that we recognize.
I love it. Movie you loved as a kid that you wish you were in?
Oof, that's a lot of... Top Gun.
Top Gun. I can totally see that.
I just because of the high five.
Just because of what you're wearing right now.
Absolutely. I have a beach volleyball court in my house just because of Top Gun.
There you go.
And I play volleyball with jeans on.
I thought you were about to say I played volleyball with Tom Cruise. I was like,
oh
amazing.
My God, I wish.
You never put it past you. Something you bought that you never thought you could afford?
Oh, yeah. I was such a James Bond fan, and I was so obnoxious when I was able to do this, and I went to the Aston Martin place and I bought myself
I remember when you had that
the
car.
DB9. Remember the DB9?
I remember the car.
And when I drove home, my dad saw it. My dad cried because my dad, is a James Bond fan.
And he thought it was for him.
And I said, Dad, relax. I'm driving it. You're not driving it. But that was kind of like the first obnoxious thing I did with my money.
Okay, love that. And last, Hollywood crush.
Hollywood crush.
Past or present?
I'm going to go with past.
It's always more fun.
It's always more fun. It was a toss-up. You can flip a coin between Lucille Ball and Jessica Rabbit.
Jessica Rabbit? I had the biggest crush on
That's
Jessica
when
Rabbit.
I knew. That's when I knew I was going to have a problem with redheads,
I never ever heard anyone.
And eventually I did.
So well.
When you think about it, I really did have a problem with the redhead. Yeah.
The mutual love for Jessica Rabbit. Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. Wilmer Valderrama. We should wrap it up on that.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it.